Hey guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Get Corporate Ready. I am Bohlale Paile, your guide to navigating the professional world. Today, we're going to be deep diving into the essence of personal branding. And where we are starting today is really the fundamental aspect of self-identity. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what truly defines who we are? Well, stick around until the end of the video so that you don't miss an opportunity to explore this further and gain a better understanding as to how to start building your own personal brand. Once again, make sure that if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more career boosting and elevating content. Now, let's start with the concept of self-identity. A lot of times when we think about self-identity, it's made up by so many different facets of life, right? So I want you to see self-identity like a mosaic, right? Formed by various pieces of our lives, whether we're speaking about things around religion, your upbringing, self-limiting beliefs, strengths, values, right? All of those aspects make up that puzzle or that mosaic that makes you who you are. But the one intriguing question that I want to ask you today, can you change your self-identity? Well, I want us to deep dive into two different examples that I want to share today. And then let's ask the question again as to whether you can change your identity. Now, the first one, Oprah Winfrey, very, very highly known talk show host, one of the highest paid Black women in the world. But for instance, Oprah Winfrey, her background and how she grew up does not correlate with who she is today, right? Despite a challenging upbringing, she transformed her narrative to become one of the most influential figures in the world. The next person that we can quickly jump to is Dwayne Johnson, right? A lot of you guys know him as The Rock. Now, The Rock is one person that overcame a troubled past, right, as a teenager and became a global icon. These individuals, as you know them today, show us that shifting our perception of ourselves is not only possible, but absolutely crucial for growth. So after seeing these two examples, I'm sure you can see right now that your background, your upbringing, your religion, how you've been raised, the circumstances you've been raised in can be changed, right? Just from seeing these two examples, you see that their upbringing and who they are today are completely different people. Yes, there may be certain values, morals that they were taught as they grew up that helped anchor in who they are to get them to where they are today. But one thing I want you to realize is that you are not defined by your circumstances. You are not defined by your upbringing, right? You may come from a poverty background. You may come from a rural space, but you can still have a vision of who it is you're wanting to be and make sure that you are attaining that, right? And all of this, guys, to be honest, starts with a level of self-awareness. Now, what is self-awareness? I see self-awareness as the cornerstone of this transformation, right? It is about envisioning the best version of yourself. It's about daring to dream bigger than what your current circumstance dictates, right? But it doesn't just stop there, guys. It's about being intentional in the action that you take to get yourself to where you want to be. One book that I always recommend to professionals and people that are coming up in their careers is a book titled The Leader Who Had No Title, right? It's a Robin Sharma book. And this book really delves into the concept of self-leadership, right? Taking ownership of who it is you are, who it is you are becoming, and really making sure that you are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of where it is that you are wanting to go in your career, in your life, in every facet of your life, right? So I'd highly recommend this. If you have not read this, it's a beautiful, beautiful book that's really going to help you just undo some of the concepts and thought structures that you have about life and how it works, but really show you that you can be a leader in any and every sphere that you are in. And it doesn't take having a title to do so. Now, one of the biggest things in really honing in on your self-identity is firstly letting go of limiting beliefs, right? So let's confront what some of these limiting beliefs generally are. If you are someone that often thinks to themselves, I am not good enough. I got lucky this time, but I'll probably fail next time. I'll start working on it once I have all the details figured out. I'm not naturally good at this. Right? Whether it's a skill, whether it's, being able to communicate effectively, right? If you are constantly telling yourselves these kinds of beliefs about yourself, these are self-limiting beliefs, guys, because what you're really doing is that you're setting a ceiling on what you can achieve and what you can attain in your career and in your life, right? So one thing that's important is that as you do some of the self-awareness work, make sure, firstly, that you are recognizing your self-limiting beliefs. You are challenging them, right? And how do you challenge your self-limiting beliefs? If you have a thought of, I'm not good enough, ask yourself, no, but why? Who said I'm not good enough? Why do I believe I'm not good enough? Challenge that thought. Don't just assume it. Don't just take it on as fact, right? Challenge that thought. It's very, very important. And then lastly, important for you to shift your perception, right? If you are used to having all these limits about yourself, what it is you can do, what it is you can achieve, make sure that you now know who it is you want to be, and you start shifting the narrative, you start shifting the language, and you start shifting the thinking, because that's what's going to help you then elevate into that version of yourself that maybe doesn't resonate with who you are now, but you are consciously and intentionally creating it, right? So always remember that never be limited by the person you are now. Instead, create the person you aspire to be. Now, guys, let's get a bit practical here, right? I'm going to give you 5 different ways that you can enhance your level of self-awareness, right? These are things that are going to be tips that are going to help you. If you start practicing them, you'll be more aware of who you are showing up as, what your thoughts are, how it is you behave. All of these things are going to start shifting for you, right? But like I said, firstly, you need to recognize it, you need to challenge it, and then you need to shift your perception. Now, the first way that is so good for you to start being more aware of yourself and your thoughts and your beliefs, make sure that you do a little bit of self-reflection, right? So you could do something like journaling, right? Understand why you react the way that you do. Envision how you'd like to respond to those circumstances differently, right? So being able to reflect on your day, on a difficult conversation that you've had, that's what's going to allow you to really hone in on, I had a really terrible time today at work. Why? Okay, I arrived late and I arrived grumpy. Why did I arrive grumpy? Oh, because this is what's happening, or I felt bad about this. Why did you feel bad about it? Just keep asking yourself why. Why did I feel that way? Why did I react that way, right? At the end of it, you will get to the crux of why you behaved the way you did, why you had a good or a bad day, right? And it doesn't mean you must only journal on days where it's been terrible. Even on the good days, what was exciting about today? What did I love about my day today? How was I in the zone today? What created that, right? So observe yourself, both negative and positive, and journal and write down what you are seeing. And then you'll start seeing patterns, and then you'll start getting to a point of understanding, oh, okay, I generally have this type of limiting belief, or these are actually strengths of mine, or I thrive in these kinds of environments. I can see a pattern now, right? That's how you start learning more about yourself. That's how you start identifying what levels you are aware of when it comes to yourself, right? So absolutely important for you to do a bit of self-reflection. Secondly, so important for you to be identifying your strengths and your weaknesses, right? It's so important, guys, to be so attuned with yourself and understand, what am I really good at? What do I love doing, right? And the things that you're good at and you love doing, go at it, like excel in those things. Make sure that you are using that to your fullest potential. The things that you are not so great at, ask yourself, how pivotal is it for where I am going in my career? How pivotal is it? Is it something I want to develop, right? So I'm not saying all your weaknesses need to become strengths, because I don't believe that people have strengths at absolutely everything. We all have our point of genius, right? We all have our point of, this is what I really love doing, and I want to go full in on this, right? There's certain people that could never dream of becoming doctors, and there's certain people that are doctors that could never dream of being in corporate, right? So we are all made so differently and so uniquely. And so it's important for you to know what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, and where there are weaknesses that you are wanting to hone in on, get better at, seek the kind of assistance that you need to improve in those areas, whether you're doing courses, whether you have a mentor that's helping you along the way. Make sure that you know what your weaknesses are and how you are planning to work on them. Thirdly, so important, guys, for you to be managing your emotions effectively, right? Being in tune with your feelings helps build a sense of healthier relationship, firstly with yourself, but also improves the relationships you have with other people. So it's so important that you learn to manage your emotions. Don't just react off the back of someone has pissed me off, therefore this is how I acted. I'm upset about this, therefore this is how I'm choosing to respond to this particular person. Learn to manage your emotions. Learn in the heat of things to calm yourself down, to ask yourself, why am I so triggered by this? What is it about this person? Is it about the person? Is it about the topic? Ask yourself those questions, and that's where journaling is going to help you, because if you did give into one of those kinds of moments, then you go back that evening and ask yourself, just unpack the moment for yourself and get a clearer sense of where it is you are being triggered in life, right? And ask yourself, why? And that's what's going to help you come to the realization of some of the root causes of how you show up and how you behave. Fourthly, so important that in your journey of self-awareness, you're learning to be considerate of others. Now, self-awareness is not just about understanding yourself, but it's also about understanding people around you, right? So if you're aware of your own emotions, it will help you be a lot more aware of other people's emotions as well. And once you are aware of other people's emotions, make sure that you are the kind of person that is recognizing the need that exists within that particular relationship, right? Be the one that is supportive. Be the one that's empathetic. That's how you start building relationships, guys. So if you are not aware of who you are, how you show up, why you show up in particular ways, and what the root cause of it is, even when other people are maybe having a tough day, you're not going to be able to identify in them that, oh, maybe this person's having a terrible day because something's happened at home, or maybe this person, is just going through a bit of a slump. Let me ask them how they're doing, right? So self-awareness is important to understand who you are, how you show up, what your values are, and what your identity is as the core of who you are. But also very important to learn to be considerate of other people, observe their behavior, observe when they are in flow and when they're not, right? So those things are going to be so important for you, and it's really going to help you to really identify, what exists within you, but also what lies and exists within others as well. That's going to help you be a lot more aware. Lastly, guys, I think it's so important that along your journey, whether through life or corporate, learn to embrace criticism, right? It's not an easy thing to be criticized or to be shown what your weaknesses are or where you could have improved and done better. And it's not every person that's good at doing that, right? So some people are poised at being able to navigate those kinds of conversations to show you where it is you need to improve, but it's not everyone, right? So when you are given some level of criticism, learn to embrace it. It's an opportunity for you to see some of your blind spots. It's an opportunity for you to really realize how people are perceiving you, right? Because sometimes we may think we're doing the right things, we're behaving in the right way, but how someone else perceives it could be different, right? So learn to be an active listener when you are given criticism. And by active listening, what do I mean? Make sure that you are listening to understand what the person is saying and not listening just to respond, right? It's a very different kind of listening. If you're listening to respond, you're waiting for any opportunity for you to go in there and say your piece. But if you're listening to understand, then you listen just to absorb what it is they're saying. The questions you ask are clarifying questions of what the person is saying. So learn to see yourself through other people's eyes, but also learn to be discerning about it. Not everyone will have your best interest at heart, right? So if they've said something about you that doesn't resonate with who you are and where you aspire to go in life, if you feel like whatever feedback they're giving you is really to limit you in life, then that is not something you have to identify with. That is not something necessarily that you have to work at, right? So in your active listening, gain perspective, right? Receive the feedback with an open mind, but also make sure that as you go home and you unpack it and you reflect on it, you are then discerning around what you are taking in as correction points and what are things that you are going to be more mindful of, but it's not going to change who you are and how you show up. Okay, so in closing, guys, I think always remember that your self-identity is not set, right? I gave you those examples earlier. Enjoy the journey of self-discovery, right? Learn to hone in on your self-awareness and dare to redefine yourself. Dare to think bigger than your environment, than your upbringing, than the limitations of where you are, than what other people think of you. Dare to dream bigger than that. And make sure, guys, that as you go through this journey of self-awareness, also be cognizant of the people around you and how you then interact with them on a day-to-day basis, because that also impacts the relationships that you have in your life. And that has a massive impact on who you are and how you show up. Guys, I hope that this was helpful. If there's any comment that you'd like to put in the comments, to ask questions, to clarify around self-identity, anything that you wanted to get a bit more clarity in, please make sure that you're commenting, in the comments below. And stay tuned, guys, for our next episode that will run around personal branding. Just continuously making sure that we are evolving and embracing the uniqueness that you are. This is Bohlale Paile signing off.